Friends, happy Tuesday evening. I'm KHOU 11 Houston meteorologist Trevor Birchett filling in for Chief Meteorologist David Paul this evening. He's going to be back a little bit later this week, but we are here for your nightly tropical weather update, and we do have quite an active Atlantic to talk about. No named storms as of right now, but that could be changing here in the next couple of days. So we're going to try to give you a roundabout update and let you know where this thing could be developing, where it could be headed, and how intense it might be. We've got a lot to cover on tonight's tropical update, so we appreciate you joining us. We're here every night, Monday through Sunday at 9 p.m. You can watch us on KHOU 11 Plus or on Facebook, also on our YouTube page. We'd like to start close to home here in Southeast Texas, and of course today was a pretty quiet weather day. We did not have much in the way of rainfall aside from a sprinkle or two. That's mainly thanks to high pressure that is parked on top of us, and in fact it's going to even center up on top of Houston a little more over the next few days. That's keeping us very dry. That high pressure area rotating clockwise. You see the storms kind of following around the outer edge of that high pressure zone. As long as that thing is close by us, it's going to prevent much in the way of storm activity from developing. It could also turn any tropical systems away. So kind of a catch-22 here. High pressure makes us very hot and very dry, but high pressure can kind of turn those tropical systems around and away from us. So it could end up working in our favor. We'll talk more details about those steering currents here in just a bit. But I do want to get out to the eastern Atlantic off the coast of Africa, the west coast of Africa, and talk about a couple of waves that we're watching. We've been talking about these for the last couple of days, even into last week, that we were getting into the time of year where we're going to start to get these little tropical waves coming off of Africa. Two of these we're watching right now. This one is new. This one just popped up today. It's got a low chance of development in the next 7 days, but the one we're really watching right now is the one that's already ahead of it, the one that's already out in the warm Atlantic water and is continuing to move to the west. This is the wave that is likely going to develop at least into a tropical depression, possibly a tropical storm here in the next couple of days. You can see on satellite, even compared to either this time last night as we were talking about it, it's got a little bit more of that swirl to it. I wouldn't say it looks like a tropical storm right now. It's still very messy. You've got thunderstorms only on one side. We need kind of a symmetrical storm for it to really strengthen. But you can see it is getting a little bit of that swirl to it, especially in those low-level clouds. So that's why the National Hurricane Center has increased its odds of development here from 70 to 80% in the next 7 days. So not to say this thing's going to develop tonight or even tomorrow, but sometime in the next 7 days, it could develop into our next tropical depression. So that's that one that's already out in the Atlantic, like we were talking about, 80% chance of development in the next 7 days. The one behind it, just coming off, has a 20%. We'll see where that thing ends up going. We've also got that little guy way up in the North Atlantic, kind of a fish storm up there. That one could also develop. It's got about a 40% chance of developing, but notice it is heading to the east, away from the continental United States, so not going to be an issue for us. This is why the storms are going the way that they're going. And this is going to be a big factor whether or not this storm develops. Either one of these or all three of these develop, this is going to be a big determination of where exactly they go. We've got a big high pressure over the Atlantic, very common for this time of year. We call that a Bermuda high because it's close to the island of Bermuda. But again, like we talked about earlier, that high pressure is rotating and churning the atmosphere clockwise. So on the north side of the high pressure, you've got west to east flow. That's why that area of development is going east. On the south side, you've got the east to west flow. That's why these two waves are moving toward the west. That's why we always track these coming off of Africa, moving west toward the Caribbean. There's also, like we talked about a second ago, that big high pressure zone that's right over us. That is making us very hot and very dry in Southeast Texas and honestly in most of the Gulf. But again, that could also act to steer the storm away from us here just a little bit. So there's a couple of options that we're going to look for. And to be totally honest with you, it's way too early to determine exactly where this thing could go. But I do like to kind of give a broad view of the steering currents just to give you some kind of an idea of where we might need to be looking. So there's a couple of options here. And again, we've got 3 dots on the map. The one I'm really going to be talking about is this red area. That's the 80% chance of development. So that one, that tropical wave, has the highest potential of development. So that's the one I want to focus on right now. So a couple of things could happen. We see this happen either way this time of year. This thing could get caught up in this Bermuda high and go back out to sea, out to the Atlantic like that. We see those storms do that a lot. If you ever see those storms that curve up and kind of follow along the East Coast, it's because of that Bermuda high. So that is possible. That is one track that we're watching. Some models are favoring that path. What could also happen is it could get caught up on the bottom segment of the high pressure that's over us. That would take it into the Caribbean and then eventually into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Not likely to come into the northern Gulf because that high pressure zone is right over the northern Gulf, but if it follows the southern area, could be into the southern Gulf there in maybe even the next 10 days or so. So either path is going to kind of swing it around southeast Texas. This does not look like something that right now is coming in our direction. But again, still several days out. We got a long time to watch this. But either one of these tracks is where this thing could go, either a curve to sea or kind of continue due west through the Caribbean. Now, regardless of where it goes, intensity is not looking very promising at this point. So here's what's happening. These are the spaghetti models for tonight, mainly taking it due west for now. Some of them indicating a little bit of that curve out to sea right at the very end. We'll wait to see what happens. Again, this thing is still 7 to 10 days away from the Caribbean, so we got a ways to go, but we're going to wait to see exactly if this thing curves out or continues toward the west. Even if it continues west into the Caribbean, it's got a lot against it. It's going to be pretty much torn apart, I think, if it comes into the Caribbean. It's an El Nino year. We've got strong wind shear in the Gulf. That's pretty expected for this time of year in an El Nino year. We've also got a lot of Saharan dust, especially in the Caribbean. So if this thing continues westward, it's going to run into Saharan dust in the Caribbean. It's also going to run into all that wind shear that we talked about. So if this thing's going to strengthen, it's probably going to be curving out to sea. You can see those arrows there kind of going back out that direction. If it continues westward into the Caribbean, it's likely to just kind of get torn apart and fall apart. So either way right now, this is not looking anything incredibly, worth writing home about right now for the Gulf or Southeast Texas. Of course, it's still very early. We've got a long ways to go. We got a long time to keep watching this thing. But just kind of maybe give you some peace of mind, at least for right now. That's how things are looking. One thing we do have to look out for is we've got a very warm Atlantic. We've not had many storms this year, not enough to kind of cool down the ocean yet. Very warm in the Atlantic, very warm in the Gulf. So that is something that would help a storm strengthen. So we've got two things that would help it weaken, one thing that might help it gain a little intensity. Kind of bathwater temperature out here in the Atlantic and the Gulf. 85 to 90 degrees sea surface temperatures. That's plenty for hurricanes to thrive on and to continue to grow. So all of that being said, let's kind of break it down bullet point by bullet point. That one wave has about an 80% chance of developing within the next week. That would be into a tropical depression, possibly into a tropical storm. Bermuda high that we were just talking about could curve it out to sea, could end up being a fish storm impacting barely anybody. However, there is a potential it continues west into the Caribbean where even if it does, there's dust, there's wind shear. It's not likely to gain much intensity if it is headed to the west. So am I telling you to write this off? No. Keep an eye on it. Watch it. Used to be always watching the tropics this time of year. That's why we do these live updates every night. Even if nothing's going on, it's kind of helpful to know if something is on the horizon. So always keep an eye on these things. We always want to watch it. We never want to turn our back to one of these things. Just like I do, things can change in a matter of days. So we're going to keep watching it. But right now, it looks like it's either out to sea or it goes into the Caribbean where it gets torn apart. That's where things stand right now, but we are getting very close to the peak of hurricane season. Today's August 11th. Peak is September 10th, but kind of in the middle of August, we start really climbing that hill, and that's where it gets very active typically. Now, we do know this is forecast to be a below average season due to El Nino and due to the wind shear in the Gulf that we were just talking about. That's a reason why we're not expecting this storm to become a huge Gulf threat at this point. However, all it takes is one storm. Even if it's a below average season, one storm in the wrong spot can be a big deal. So we always want to watch, even if this one might not be one that is too concerning for us here in the Western Gulf. We've already had two storms, Arthur and Bertha, both tropical storms. Next name is Cristobal. We never want to assign a storm a name too early. We've got a couple of areas in the Gulf 40%, 80%. One of those could develop first. The other one could develop second. Who knows? But Cristobal and Dolly are the next two names on the list. I think our 80% wave will become one of those. It just depends on what develops first. So here in Southeast Texas and Houston, our 7-day forecast includes nothing tropical at this point. Like we mentioned, it's likely this thing either goes to sea or gets torn apart in the Caribbean. Doesn't look like a serious threat at this moment. We want to stay tuned and watch it though. The biggest concern for me right now locally is the heat. 96 tomorrow, 97 Thursday, Friday, 98 Saturday and Sunday, and then close to 100 next week. Because of that big high pressure that's on top of us, even if it is kind of steering the storm away, it's going to make us very hot and very dry. So stay hydrated, stay cool. Not much relief in the way of any rainfall for the next 7 days. There could be a couple of sprinkles tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, but I do think the odds of any serious rain, any cooling rain for the next 7 days is going to be pretty low. So that is going to do it for tonight's tropical weather update. Hope that gave you some clarity on what's going on, what you might have been seeing online. Again, right now, nothing too alarming out of this one. We will always watch it. We are always going to keep a close eye on it because these things can change, but that's the way things stand right now. We are going to be back same time, same place tomorrow night at 9 p.m. You can also watch on demand on the KHOU 11 Plus app or on our YouTube channel. For now, though, I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett. Have a good night.